everybody should know that your credit report is something that is real in Jamaica now. So if you do have a credit report and you are paying back your credit card in a way where you're paying off the monthly balance each month, or you're paying it and meeting your obligation, then it can help to start building your credit so that you can graduate to bigger loans and different loan types, like an auto loan when you're ready to buy your car, or a mortgage eventually. So a credit card is a good stepping stone, but many people do not know how to use a credit card wisely. To use a credit card wisely, you must pay off your balance in full. My rule for my credit cards is I don't spend anything that I don't already have in a bank account. So I use it as a tool where you can earn miles, or you can earn points, and you can earn cash back. There are some really great cards out there, but if I don't have the money already in a bank account, I'm not spending it on the credit cards, because I must be able to pay back my credit card in full every month. I know a lot of people don't have that reality. They take a credit card and they just spend it and they pay the minimum balance. And if you realize, credit cards have one of the highest interest rates, or the highest interest rate among any other credit product in Jamaica. So if you look at mortgages, car loans, any other loans out there, the credit cards will have the highest interest rate. Some of them go up to about 50% per annum if you look at the rates. JN has the best rate out there, but there are other competitors that have some really high credit card rates. So our philosophy is that we want to be able to help you build your credit and get started in our product without giving you these high credit card fees or high credit card rates. So when you're getting a credit card and you know that you're not paying it off in full, then you should definitely look at the interest rate that you're getting on that card and make sure that it is low. But I do encourage you to pay it off in full every month if you can. Use your card and get your rewards, get your cash back and your miles if you're using one of those cards. But pay it off in full and use it to help build your credit, because nowadays you can't get a loan of any type without your credit report being checked. It's something that many people are not aware of. And just to add, you can get a free copy of your credit report from the bureaus, their Credit Info, CRIF, and Credit Information Services. So all the bureaus allow you to get a free copy of your report, which I encourage you to do before you take out any loan. That's a little bit of an aside, but I encourage everybody to get a free copy of your credit report. It's really easy. You can go online and get them. So that's something that you can be mindful of when you're taking out any loan product at all. Make sure you check your credit report and use your credit card responsibly so you don't get caught into credit card debt, which is a trap that many people fall into without even realizing it. They just pay the minimum payment and then they're in problems way down the line. So pay off your credit card in full is my best advice to using it responsibly.
Wow, thank you.
Thank you very much. Very, very, very comprehensive answer. Learned a lot. No, you said which is a good habit. I'm watching you and saying, wow, I should really pay attention to that habit. Don't spend anything that you don't have the money for. No, he asked the question, what's the value of a credit card? Now, I would imagine that the money that you have is in an account as a debit card is attached to.
Right.
No, how would you answer the question now? If you should ask part B to say, if you have the money in your account, what is the value of those benefits?
The cash back and
the cash back. I mean, what's the value of that for me to leave my debit card?
Right.
Pursue those.
I kind of mentioned it before, but I'll expound on it a little bit. In terms of building your credit and your credit history, right now, because credit reporting is so young in Jamaica, it started in 2013. A lot of people don't place a lot of value on it. Eventually, it's going to be the norm for your credit report to be a big part of your life. We aren't there yet, but we're getting there. So right now, you can't walk into any bank or any building society or any major financial institution to apply for any sort of loan. If you need an unsecured loan, even the other day, my friend was looking for a rental property, and they told her for her to get the rental approval, she needed a credit report. And what is on her credit report will be reflective of whether or not she can pay the rent. So just keeping those things in mind, it can show your performance as a good repay of your debts, especially if you're new to credit. Right. If you never had any loan before, it puts you in a better position to get approved for loans that are more advanced in the future. So it helps to build your foundation for being a responsible repayer of your loans and repayer of your debt. That's one. And two, in terms of the cash back and the rewards, it is very beneficial for those type of cards. Right now, not many people are flying, so the points or the airline miles are not going very far. Well, some people are, but the airline miles aren't going very far. But there are cards out there, the cashback ones especially. I know there's some other cards out there that you can get cashback at certain points of the year, and I know JN is thinking about expanding to some certain types of cards in the future. Right now, our cards are simply based on the fact that our rate is just the most competitive, so that's our offering to the public, but we're going to expand in the future. But those benefits can assist you when it's Christmas and you need a little bit extra cash in your pocket. If you've been using your credit card responsibly, you pay it off in full, and then you can get points and cash back from those cards and stuff like that. So yeah,
thank you for that. You know, I wish that there was somebody here to tell me all of these things
long time.
when I was like, you know, a few years younger.
And,
I see another question. Go ahead. And I'll just mentioning that right after this question and comment, we're going to go over into the investment section, and there's a lovely testimonial we have lined up for you. So go right ahead, Carlisle.
Yeah, my question is, do you need a credit card to build credit?
That's a good question. It's one of the ways, but right now I think NWC recently signed on with one of the bureaus as well. They're also using the repayment of your utility bills to help to build your credit profile. So it's not, you don't need it. It's one of the, but if you pay it off responsibly, I think it would have a higher weighting in terms of determining if you are a good person to lend to in the future.
Thank you. And I think I saw a comment. Yes.
Yes, just to add to the value, because Joshua asked about the value. Joshua, another thing is when you have a credit card, you have access to that money. Eh? So if you're on the road and you're in an accident or you need to rush to the hospital, you have that card and you can use it. All right?
Convenience, yes.
Convenience.
Tremendous value and convenience. Thank you. So I think a big point came out here. Credit cards are not bad. It's how you manage the credit card that is so critical. And I see another question coming through on Instagram, and I'll just ask the team to just queue up a testimonial that we have from Mr. David Rose, which is going to take us into investments. But before that, I wanted to call on our JN SBL rep, because there's a question that came in on Instagram that asked, you know, having a skill is all fun and games, but ponder the question, what will you do if you're injured for 3 months? What will you do? So can I ask you to give us a little contribution to that? Because we're dealing with customers who are going through all sorts of things, but you know, they have portfolios. So what is our advice? I'll ask Garfield, I'll ask SPL. What would you share with them?
Check.
The question persons are worried about, if for instance you have all these responsibilities with different institutions, you have a skill, you've monetized it, but then you get injured for some time and maybe you can't meet your obligations. What facilities are there for you?
Well, in addressing that question though, at JN Small Business Loans, in relation to this tough time that we're living in with regards to COVID, we have had opportunities to give our clients financial payment holidays, and those payment holidays have assisted some persons. So as it relates to small business loans, in terms of the type of clients that we deal with, you find that their repayment turnaround time is a little bit short. So the loans that they take are a little bit short, for example, over a month. So in the event that the person is unable to produce for a month, that situation in terms of the payment holidays, it assisted them. In terms of persons who are outside of that target group, we're hoping that they would have had health plans in place or savings in place, which is the first step that you need to put in place as an entrepreneur to save. That's the essence for which we operate a business, really. So that is what I would say to those persons in terms of...
Thanks for that. So you see, we're still back to savings.
We're
still back to savings. We're still back to how a credit card could be helpful in a situation like that. And we're still back to communicating, because it means that you have to have a conversation with the relevant financial institutions, because there may be facilities that you can take advantage of to help you through periods like that. So that's great. Go ahead.
Before we go into the next segment, that question spoke to me.
Yeah.
Because he said, what happens if you're injured? What happens to my mom? You know, I have to think about it seriously. What if I'm incapacitated
Yeah.
in any way, you know? How would I perform if my main source of earning is from my appearances, you know? So I want to say to that person, that is why I have to think about other ways, you know? You have to think about it. And it's a good question for us to ponder on because, like when I examine my own career, I have to say, okay, now, one source of income, of course, is appearances. But over a number of years, I've also built up some content, right, via television, which we now monetize on YouTube, you know? So while I'm sleeping, I can still be earning. Why are you laughing? You know, is that
But
serious?
that's an amazing position to be in.
Actually, that was the question I wanted to ask. How can you make money while you're sleeping? And then it just alluded to.
Oh, well, look at that. That's the Holy Spirit of God. God did hear the question. No. So when I recognize that, whoa, I can be asleep and earning, then I'm going to pay attention to that. I read a book, Robert Kiyosaki, I think that's all I read, the same book, talk about the 4 quadrants. I think it's in Richard Fordham. When we are aware of those quadrants, we must ask, what quadrant am I in? What are those quadrants? There's the employee, where you're employed to a company and you work and you get paid. You sell your time and you earn money for the time. There is the specialist. Correct, Najali? Correct me, Najali? There's a specialist like the doctor or the lawyer. If the doctor don't write the prescription, he doesn't earn $1. If that's what he does. Especially those doctors employed to the university. They are employees. They can be more than one quadrant. Then there's the business owner who can be on a jet ski somewhere while his staff and other is running, you know. And then there's a final one. Which one is the final one, Najali? The investor. Thank you very much. Read the book, right? No, investor. So we have to think about those things as we think about money and earning. Because that person asked a question about skill. If you are not able to work, then if you're in another quadrant, then you can still be earning money.
Awesome. Last comment. Come, Garfield. And then I see another question. The Instagram people are very busy.
If I may add a point to that, very, very important. While you're earning, what are the risks? Risk management is very fundamental as a part of your financial plan. Very, very crucial. You ask, what if you were to get ill? What if you were to be injured? What happens then? Because if you're not around, there will be no need for the goals, right? So it's important that you are well taken care of. So if you are ill, have you considered that as a part of your financial plan? What about insurance? Insurance in terms of a living benefit plan, insurance in terms of life insurance. Living benefit, wherein as persons of African heritage, they say that the cancer, the records will say that cancer, black people are more likely to get cancer than others. What plans do you have in place for that? JN Life Insurance Company has solutions which you can look on to deal with the living benefit part, wherein you get monies to take care of the illness. And here's a personal testimony. My mother-in-law has had cancer for 15 years. The cost of her treatment is $1.2 million per month. No kidding. We're fortunate to get some help with that, but that is something that one has to consider. What are the costs associated with the illness while you're looking to deal with your financial plans? COVID, how many persons plan for COVID? What financial plans are in place, right? So you might also think about losing income. And I mentioned the contingent plans I've put in 6 months income or even a year. Your property. Have you insured the property? We know about the gas station in Mandeville that was a few months ago, wherein that accident, that fire happened. What about your house? What if you, how many times do we see persons in the media wherein they have lost their homes? I remember that Jamaica footballer in our community in Kingston here who lost his house, and persons had to go about assisting him. So we have to look on all those things. There are many things. In terms of your investments, you have systematic risks and unsystematic risk, which is saying it could be that interest rate risk. You might be looking at currency risk. All of these things can affect your investments. So diversifying your financial portfolio is crucial. So, for example, I am employed to JN. I'm a relationship manager with JN, and there's no conflict of interest. I also earn because I'm also an author. I wrote a book, and I get every year I get, what is that? Royalties at the end of the year, right? And also I do other writings. So I'm saying to you, YouTube is an avenue that one can also. Everybody know about Sir P? Many of you know about Sir P, right? I'm not promoting him, but right? The Voice. So I'm saying you have an avenue that you can find what your talent and your skills are, and do a YouTube channel and earn from that. Many other things that we can do, diversify our portfolio and other things as I earlier mentioned.
Thank you for that, Garfield. And I want to pick up on one of those points. A question came in on Instagram that asked, how can you use insurance to build wealth? And I want to ask Jillian and and Rose if they can just give us 2 quick thoughts on that, because someone actually asked that question on Instagram. Apart from using insurance to deal with, illness or property and so forth, how can you use it to build wealth? So I'm going to call on Rose, and then I'm going to call on Jillian. Could you give them some quick ideas on how they could do that?
Okay, great. That's an awesome question, because that is actually one of the purposes of insurance. The other two being to preserve the wealth that Garfield just spoke about, and we can also use insurance to transfer wealth to the next generation. But let's talk about the wealth creation. And because this is a youth forum, we really want to emphasize the point as well that young people get insurance early. It costs less, and you can use it to build up the wealth. You must buy a policy, though, that actually has an investment component. Meaning to say a portion of the premium you pay every month is going towards building up wealth. Not all the policies are like that, so you need to be sure of what you're buying. So a lot of the policies actually do various types of investments, so whether it is in stocks or real estate or whatever. That's not your issue. Your issue is to make sure that the policy you are taking out, do it early in your life, make sure it has an investment component. And after 5-10 years, wealth is being accumulated on that plan just like that. The difference between that and, say, other types of investment is that you actually do get a coverage, because nothing is guaranteed. So you could actually have this plan, and God forbid you pass on a year or 2 into it. It means that your beneficiaries will now get the face value of the plan. That is a bonus for them because you're dead and gone. But if you are alive, over time, money will be built up on that plan. Again, purposes for insurance: to create wealth by doing just that, to transfer wealth, and also to preserve wealth. If we don't have a plan and we have a fire and so on and so forth, we're going to have to take money out of our pockets to take care of the house, to take care of the illness if we don't have a critical illness plan. So your wealth is being eroded. If you had insurance, it would be preserved. All right, could talk all day on that, but hey.
Thank you for that, Rose. And critical point. Take it out while you're young, because the older you get is the more expensive it can become for you. Thanks for that. Jillian?
Rose said it perfectly. I don't have much to add, just to emphasize the reason why you need to start earlier is because your premiums, which is the amount that you pay each month or each year, depending on how you pay your insurance policy, your premiums are lower for life insurance specifically if you are younger. So if you're younger, they use a formula that takes into consideration your expected future lifetime. So how much longer do you have to live? And if your expected future lifetime is longer, in terms of if you're like 20 and you're expected to live to 60, then you will have, they'll be able to collect more premiums from you, so they'll charge you a smaller fee. If you start at 50 and you wake up and you say, wow, it's time for me to get life insurance, you can expect expect that your expected future lifetime is shorter, so you will be paying much more. So I'm emphasizing Rose's point that starting earlier is beneficial to you as a young person.
Thank you so much for that, Rose. Thank you so much for that, Jillian. And do we have a Mr. David Rose in the audience with us? Awesome. So I want to introduce you to Mr. David Rose, who is at 22 years old, was a 3-time quarterly winner in the Jamaica Stock Exchange All Media Services Young Investors Stock Market Competition for 2018. And he is doing what a lot of college students dream of doing. Make money, use it to fund his dream. But I can't tell the story like he can. So we've invited him here to talk about this thing that a lot of young people are interested in, investment. David, can you share your story with us, please?
Sure. All right, great. Audio is working fine. Afternoon, everyone. Afternoon to everyone overseas and online. So back in 2016, I was in Mega Mart, and we were saying, why mention Mega Mart, which is around the corner. So I was in Mega Mart, so my first form classmate's mom, and I said, I'm just doing nothing for the summer, because for the summertime, most of our parents just say, stay home, watch TV, whatever. So she said, you want to go and do a summer job? So I said, sure. So I worked at TPD from between July to end of September. During that time, I got the, as you would say, the starting amount to open my investment account. So I went to JMB, opened my account, and Sagicor, opened that account. And people were like, wait, you're not going to enjoy yourself a little or whatever? No. I had a goal that I wanted to achieve. When I was younger, I talked to mom about it, but then she wanted me to go with a particular broker. And I was like, no. $10,000 and $2,000 sounds very small compared to $25,000. So you get where I'm coming from. Yeah. So it was always that opening amount. And that's the thing about it. I walked around New Kingston to find out from every broker or call them, what's your opening amount? Mayberry, $1 million. Scotia, $500,000. Call around, you figure out it's more cost less. And that's just it. First thing I learned about when it comes on to, finding what you want to do, you have to go for it, find information, source it. So I started initially, first I was at Jamaica. I saw it earlier this year, because, COVID came around, but it worked out fine. The $9,000, at $21 when I purchased it, and I saw it was around $29,700. And I was kind of depressed because of COVID, but think about it. 2016, $9,000. And I sold it $29,700, and that's just the capital value of the stock at the time. That doesn't include dividends over time, which is the company's profits being paid to me just owning the stock. So on top of that, when I think about it, the amount I was getting savings wouldn't have compared to my investment in the stock market through Sagicor at the time. That was the first company I bought. I remember back in sixth form, because I was in upper six at the time I had to invest. It was February, IA time, whatever, laptop stopped work. Yeah. Go to the shop, $5,000. No liquid cash, because they always say to save. I took the opposite route. I invested, then open a savings account. For some persons, it's saving accounts, then investments. So I'm like, all right, look at my account. Oh, no such makes sense. All right, sell it. Fix the laptop. Here's the funny thing about it. By May, it went from $25 when I bought it to $66, and then it split. But there's the thing about it. I had a need to take care of, but because I invested at the time, and it went from $25 to $29, I still benefited, but I had the opportunity cost I missed out on just because I was tired to deal with. So I went to university, got to first year, I was sick. So the back injury that came up and haunted me, and then also my allergies, which messed me up in my finals. I took to summer school. So I didn't want to necessarily give my mom more expenses. So I looked around, got some extra cash that I found, and then during that time, you still had the market going booming. So you had IPOs and different events, different companies growing in value. I took advantage of that. Invested in them, took the gains, paid the summer school tuition off. Bam. And then I continued to invest further. So as I got another summer job, took some of those gains, invest again. And the key thing about it is, I'm talking saving, because at the same time, when I open my first bank account, that was just, to facilitate getting cash as needed. Yeah. I eventually found a US savings account, which took me a year, and once I did to get $100 amount, I still at least $1 US a month. But here's the thing about it, the bare minimum just ensures that you're saying, wait, $1? I don't want to save $1 per month. Yeah, so you go $5, $10, you understand? Yeah, yeah. You keep some very low targets to motivate you to try and hit bigger targets. So last year, 2019, around the time my neck was actually stiff. I had to go to the doctor. What did I have to do? Go online, convert my US dollars to my GMD account, and pay for the bill. Savings come in handy, but in that case, it was a savings, it was an emergency fund, which I kept in a foreign currency for one, to avoid the devaluation and benefit of the hedging, basically. So right now, I'm a university student in final year. Hopefully everything finishes out, but for me, I'm a science student. So everybody's like, you're not a business person. I'm like, no, I didn't do accounting in a POB, one did business basics in third form. The persons are like, wait, this guy understands all of this, doesn't do business classes, doesn't do whatever, and he actually understands this? Yes. So my mom would be like, why are you going to the people meeting? Because when you own these listed companies, you're a shareholder of the company, you're a part owner. So I could go to these AGMs, annual general meetings, and meet up with these different persons, meet up with Danny Williams, meet up with Michael Leach and all these other persons. And these opportunities actually get further, some opportunities or some jobs, potential business opportunities. So even right now, there's a company that I'm supposed to be working with shortly on their upcoming capital raise just because of my analytical skills that they've seen. I'm even writing a Jamaica Observer based on my, as you would say, deep research skills. So I'm the kind of person who will go through probably 100 pages of document, find what I need to find, and just extract and explain. And the thing about it is, even right now I'm staying in Canada, and with my broker, I can actually lend my stock out. They give me cash collateral, and when the stock is returned, I get half of the interest. So imagine you have a 10% interest rate, and you keep half of that.
Yes.
And the key thing about all I'm trying to point to everybody is that for me, it was backwards. I started the investment, then savings. But the thing is, at different points, I had to save to reach that investment. So the US dollar account took me a year, but I got to it, and even I stuck about proving. I bought for $90, sold it, bought it back at the low during COVID, sold it again. 2 different periods. Up 90%, and that includes the dividends as well. So all that is showing is that that's just for me, in my case, in the form of equities. For some persons, they could have invested into real estate or a bond or something else, again, the single-digit gains that they'd have liked for their risk appetite, which would have suited them. For me, equities works in my favor just because of what I understand from the basic synopsis. And on top of that, I look towards, as you would say, finding ways to generate higher returns compared to the traditional savings accounts, because 0.5% isn't much. 0.5% is just a smudge on the ground. At all the times have to go up all the time, but at the same time, high risk will greater reward. At the same time, this doesn't go up in value, or is a decent dividend rate, probably 10% dividend yield, then you're still winning. So that's in my story.
So David, David shared a lot of gems there. But I'm going to call on Garfield because quite a number of the things that he touched on actually emphasize some of the points that Garfield made at the very beginning. And just so in case people signed on late and missed it, I heard the importance of doing the research, finding out the information. I heard him talk about the fact that he used one strategy, but it doesn't necessarily mean that is exactly how it's going to work for everybody. So understand what we're saying. We're here to talk about principles. So we're not sharing information to tell you this is exactly what you need to do to have exactly this outcome. No. Take away names of companies and all of that. What we're getting to is the principles of what he's shared. So Garfield, I just want you to pull out some of those nuggets that you heard. And because you shared some really important points at the beginning, and I heard his story reflecting some of those points.
Right. Hi, David. I know David. I was one of the persons David called. He might not know. Back in 2016, I was in a different environment.
Oh, wow.
And he called me. The recommendation that I gave David is what I would still give to some extent to some persons. I said he put forward his position. One of the things I said to him, if you're looking to explore equities, I understood his finances based on where he was. Based on what he said, that's very, very high risk. Is an anomaly. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that approach for everybody. I told him to go and read up on the understanding of stocks and go to JC site and read up there. Apparently, he took my advice and has had great success. Generally, though, I would say, as it relates to investments, based on what I would have said earlier, before you look to adopt or go on the path of investing, it's very important that you cover your necessary basis. So you need to have your short term, your emergency monies, all of those need, because in him looking to go the route of equity, if his exploration that way didn't go well, he wouldn't have monies to, was it to buy the laptop or to fix the laptop?
Fix the laptop.
Fix the laptop, right. So there would have been double danger there. So one has to be wise in one's approach. He chose that route as a very high risk route. I would not necessarily have recommended that, but it's a personal position, because one can also go on the JC side and do your own trading, right? But I always say it's important that you observe your basis first, and then you look forward into advancing into investments. And these investments, there are different instruments one can explore. You can go the route of equity. The JC, you can earn up to 29%, 49%. There are such earnings. I'm sure David said he would have invested 9,000 and ended up with what, 29,000? Look at that. So that is super profits, over 100%, significantly more than 100%. So that potential is there. So it can be a rough road if you are not as knowledgeable as David or make the time, or the easy route is to sit with someone who has the requisite expertise. JN fund managers have personnel that you can sit with. They can provide the requisite guidance on the different instrument. Each person would have a different propensity to risk, and so it's not a one hat fit all. So I would say, once you are looking to invest, certain path to observe, and you can be guided and make good returns.
One quick question,
Yes.
Garfield. While we're on the subject of, we can't all follow David's rule.
No.
He said it's an anomaly, you know?
Yes, yeah.
High risk. I have heard it said often, it's repeated, that this is the best time to buy stocks. Why?
And again, based on what is happening, what tends to happen in recession or in times when things are like this, is that the demand is low, because economics,
Yes.
demand and supply help to determine the price.
Right.
So the demand may be low. Persons may be very conservative in their approach. They may be saying, okay, I'm not going to buy this stock because I need to conserve my monies to watch and see what is going to happen. I don't have sufficient funds. And so the demand might not be there.
And the price.
Right. And so the price may be low. Because the vision is that you're not expected to stay in this environment
Forever.
permanently.
Yes.
Then you would have an informed position and the requisite equities that you would be looking on. So you want to know about the management of the company, what business the company is looking to go in. All of these things you factor in, which is saying you're looking at the potential growth of the company, and that can help you to determine what to buy. When you do buy that at a low price, there is potential, because again, I want to emphasize that with equities, you don't get interest rate. It's not an interest rate. You don't get a guaranteed interest rate. What you get is a potential return. You have the potential to earn a favorable return, because there is a direct relationship between risk and return. The higher the risk, the greater the potential. I don't want to say return. The potential return, right? And David would have emphasized that. So I'm saying to you, you purchase, you look at the requisite stock. It's not because the stock price is low, then you're going to say, I'm going to buy this. You do further analysis. David would have done his analysis of the different companies that he would have bought. having done those analyses, then he would have seen that, and the advisor, the financial advisor that would sit with you, the investment advisor, would also provide that information to you. They would be taking on the risk per se. So you would be coming to them for the advice. They would do the analysis and then recommend to you what to buy. When the pandemic has passed and persons are more receptive to purchase, it means that there would be greater demand, and greater demand means what? The price is going to rise. So the appreciation of the equity will impact your finances.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, Garfield. Really appreciate you doing that. David, thank you so much for sharing your story. I mean, wow. And I know it's one thing to tell people about it. It's another thing when you can feel and touch and meet another young person who is on the journey. So thank you so much for sharing that story. But here's something that's coming out of all of that, right? And this point came up again. We still heard the word, you have to save, you have to have some money, you have to make sure the basics taken care of, but how can you make sure that you have this money, save, put aside? I think you have to talk about budgeting. I don't think we can have this conversation and not touch on the importance of budgeting. So we have another young person by the name of Anika Vassell, and I'm just gonna ask the team to go ahead and share a video from her. We have a testimonial. Go right ahead. And while
I'm aware that David used some of his earnings to pay his tuition. Right.
Yes.
I actually watched a few weeks ago, or about a month ago, him speaking to some university students. So he is very exceptional.
Oh, wow. So he not just taking it for himself, but now he's spreading the word and helping others. And that is awesome. There's enough out there for all of us. So David, kudos to you. I want to ask a question while they get that video up. IT, do you budget?
I have children. I tell you something. Years ago, my younger daughter, she came to me for lunch at the beginning of the week. So I said to her, I don't have any money. And she laughed. And when she laughed, it dawned on me that I, who grew up in the garrison, when I asked for lunch money, I hear none of money. It's real, I ball me ball, because I know it's real, But she laughed because, at the time, it has to be a joke for her, because that is supposed to have the money. Well, lunch money, that couldn't happen without budgeting, Do I budget well?
We're going to get to that part. We're going to get to that part because there are things that you can use. There are tools that you can use. But before we get to that, please go ahead and let's see the video. Let's hear the testimonial from this young lady, Anika Vassell.
Hello everyone, Chevelle Campbell here. And I want to speak a little bit about.
Hi everyone, my name is Anika Vassell. I just want to drop by to let you know how important it is to create and stick to a budget. A budget is the first tool you can use to create wealth. My husband and I have been using this tool in our everyday lives to help manage our money better, okay? It helps us to keep track of our money, our spending, and actually achieve our financial goals that we set out for. As in everything you do, it takes discipline if you want to reap rewards, and the same applies for budgeting. It's not going to be easy at first. As for me, it was not easy. I just could not get in the mindset of writing things down, and just to get in the mindset of the changes that comes with creating and sticking to a budget. So far, we are reaping our rewards. We have improved in our savings. We've improved our investments. who started to diversify our portfolio, which is super important. Because of the financial education I received from Mrs. Rose Miller a couple years ago, we are on a better path to achieve financial independence. Let nobody tell you that you're not earning enough money to budget. It doesn't matter how small your money is. Make sure you set aside something each week, each month to savings, right? It will pay off in the end.
Thank you so much
Hello,
for sharing
everyone.
that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'll tell you, this is one of the JN Foundation babies. Okay, she started with the JN Foundation years ago, and she was one of the persons who would go around the country with Mrs. Miller and talk to people while she was learning, and she's able to apply the same things that she was telling everybody about to her own life and reap the rewards. And that's something beautiful to see, because, you know, some of us, you know, we talk, but if you check out in our personal lives, we're not necessarily applying the things that we're telling everybody to do. So I think that she's such a beautiful story and such an important testimonial. And she touched on some things that were very important there when it comes to budgeting. Discipline. Discipline. I'm hearing some laughing in the room.
Yes.
Discipline. Because how many of us take out the notebook, write down everything we're going to do, and then walk in the store and I see a hand went up already, I see another hand went up, and then you see the item on the shelf, you say, all right, man, next month. And you pick it up. Discipline. Have to exercise discipline. But are there tools that we can use? Are there tips that we can think about? And I'm going to ask Jillian, please share with our young people, what are some important tools or tips or whatever you would give in order for us to budget effectively?
Thank you, Anika, and thanks for calling on me, because that's something that I am very passionate about. I started budgeting, wow, I'd say maybe almost 17 years ago. I created my first Excel spreadsheet. Just for background, I'm an Excel nerd. I love Microsoft Excel. I do everything in Excel. I do everything in Excel. Like, even when I was trying to pick a school for my kids, I did an Excel matrix on the schools and gave them different weightings and did a formula to calculate which school they were going to go to. So I really take my Excel seriously. So I created my first Excel budget many years ago. And since then, it's evolved. I track everything. So there are two parts about budgeting for me. I have an expense tracker and I have a budget. So I'm not talking theoretical. I do this daily. I try to do it as often as I can, but I make sure at least every month my budget is updated and my expense tracker is updated. So what I do, and because I'm an Excel nerd, it's easier for me. I have a template that I track all of my expenses and I categorize them. And everything that all the documents that I'm talking to you about, you can actually download them from our website. I put them up there for free for anybody to download and use it in their budgeting and expense tracking initiatives. And my website is financialsensibility.com. So as I said, I have a tracker that I categorize all my expenses: grocery, rent, gym, everything there. And every month I track all of my expenses, because my advice is that if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So if you don't know what you're putting in for what you're spending, to even get to a budget, you need to know what you're spending in the first place. So I track my expenses first and I get an idea of what I'm spending, and then I look at the budget and I budget according to. I look at the budget and I outline, well, where can I cut based on what I'm spending right now to meet my savings goal? Because as Onika said, you must pay yourself first. So I make sure that I'll have enough to pay myself first, and to do that, I have to cut other parts of my expenses so that I can make sure that I'm paid, and I'm paid well in my savings portion of my budget. So the tips I have are to use templates like that. If you're not an Excel nerd like me, there are several other apps out there. There is Mint, You Need a Budget. There are lots of budgeting apps out there that if you're in the store, you can just take a picture of what you just bought or take a picture of your receipt. It will read the information and put it in the tracker for you. It makes it very, very easy. There are apps out there that make it easy for you. So they're tracking your expenses and then looking at them and saying, okay, well, this is what I'm spending on groceries, and monitoring yourself, so hold yourself accountable. So the budget template that I have as well will show you what you're spending over time, what your average expenses are, and so you can really focus on managing your expenses in a way that you are in control. So you know that you spent $30,000 on groceries this month. That's your budget. And if you go over next month, or if you go over that month, you can say, well, what am I going to cut it from? Because it has to come from somewhere. So are you going to cut your savings? No, you're going to find something else to cut. So So my advice again is to monitor and track your expenses in a way that's easiest for you, whether or not it be an Excel template or an app that you have on your phone.
Wow, thanks for sharing that, Jillian. And I have a question. I have a follow-up question. How many of us in the room, when we overspend on the budget, cut the savings? Put up your hand, tell the truth. Nobody, so everybody's an... Thank you, Joe. Somebody, one person was very honest. The first thing that we tend to attack is the savings, which is the part you're supposed to be using to pay yourself, right? So I just love that. There are apps, financialsensibility.com. She has lots of templates there. And Excel, just to be able to track things. But you know what I'm hearing in all of this? The biggest word? Discipline.
Discipline. Discipline.
Discipline. Because you can have all those tools and not be disciplined enough to use it properly. Yes, I see a hand up. Go ahead. Thanks.
Just to add to what she was saying, some of us will probably say, oh, I can't bother to go on the laptop and take up Excel or download that whole app for budgeting. We're always on our phones and we use the Notes app. That's a good way to get yourself into it. I started it where I go in the Notes and I say, all right, how much money do I spend weekly on fast food? How much do I spend on transportation? How much do I spend on this? And you just put it in your Notes app and then you put how much you're making and you calculate everything. Just that's for starting. Eventually you reach the Excel level and the app level, but if you feel like, no, that's not my thing, just start out with the Notes app. You're always on your phone. You're always texting. Just go in there and type down how much you spend each week, each month on your expenses, and you can easily work them out there. Simple, minus and subtraction.
Wow, thanks for that. And you know, when I hear him say fast food, people start going, nobody fast food, probably going to have to cut from something else. But guys, discipline, discipline. Nothing beats discipline when it comes to this. Go right ahead.
I must say, when David spoke about you have to save the required amount before investing, so, I mean, he pointed out and highlighted the importance of the discipline of saving. But there's a Jamaican tradition, which I'm gonna mention in this forum, which might be a very risky tradition, but we are familiar with it. Partner. There's something about partner. I say, when you go into a partner and you have to show your partner, the discipline is reinforced, you know? Particularly after you've gotten your draw, so to speak, you have to remember that you have to still show the partner. So when you mention discipline, I thought about that for some people, that it takes a lot of discipline to really, especially if you have a good team of persons to be a part of that. And then know to decide, as David said, what the goal is. If the goal is, I'm going to show the partner and get this sum, and when I get my draw, I'm going to do that. Then, you know, it's one way, it's something that I know exists.
And
absolutely. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Yes.
As you speak about the partner plan, I just want to let everybody know that the JN partner plan is probably the safest thing you can do. There's so much of us that we give the person the money and 2 weeks time them gone. We don't know where them disappear to and your money just gone down the drain. The JN partner plan all you need is $1,000 each week. Just $1,000. You can do it for 16 weeks, 32 weeks, any amount based on you. If you don't get money weekly, you can do it bi-weekly, you can do it monthly. And your money is secured. And after the end, it moves right into your savings account. So you don't have to worry about, say, oh, I have to go and pick it up. It just move right into your savings. Directly into your savings.
And I wanted to add, you mentioning the partner plan made me remember it as well, that an easy way to pay yourself first. For those of us who are earning an income and actually get a salary, you can do salary deduction straight to one of our fixed deposit accounts, or wherever if you're investing, if you're at that level, you can just take the money out of your income before you even see it, so you don't have to go in and transfer it and think about all of that. There are standing orders, there's auto transfers that you can do, and salary deductions that you can ask your company to assist you with to help you in paying yourself without even having to think about it. So just wanted to add that too.
Awesome tip. Thanks so much for that, Jillian. Thanks so much for that. Go right ahead.
I want to add, I'm sure perhaps all of you who have studied, are planning to study, the one thing the university will teach you is discipline. Let me tell you something. You will learn discipline there. You know, a lot of students go there to be certified, not educated enough to be certified, because, you know, some of them leave and don't remember what they studied. But one thing you leave with is the discipline. Okay, this is the class time, this is the assignment day. Listen, I have never seen, unless it's illness, when exam date, everybody is prepared. They come early, and they are prepared to go sit the exam. When they're in groups and the assignment needs to go in a particular date, you see people huddle together and get it done. It was an exploration for me to observe the discipline that human beings, students apply at any age. So if we take that discipline and apply it to our lives, oh my, this is note to self, by the way.
Thank you so much for that. We have one more comment or question, I'm not sure, just before we start to wrap.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
You're all
Another
hearing me,
one,
right?
okay.
You're all hearing me, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so I have a quick question. How do I balance retirement planning and still enjoy the life I am working for now?
Ooh. I am going to call up Rose Miller to help us with that question. And is it a trade-off or not?
Love it. And I love it because it's a young audience. All right. Where do I start? Let me start at the beginning. All right? Young people, you need to start planning for your retirement like right now. NOW. Yeah. Okay? And there are a couple options that you can look at. The government allows us to put 20% of what we earn in a retirement plan. So if your company has a retirement plan, go for 20% of what you earn. If you're not in a company that has a retirement plan, you can still take out a retirement account at any financial institution, starting with JN. All right? And you can also put 20% of what you earn in that account. You're going to love how those monies look over time. Money needs time to grow. And when you start early, you will end up with millions by the time you're ready to retire. Is that true, though? That is absolutely true. And somebody who starts very early will end up way ahead of the game of somebody else who started later, even if that person is investing more monthly.
Yeah.
Start early, 20% of what you earn. So how do I enjoy myself now? What's the question? Balance, ma'am. All right? Balance. If you follow the principles we have been sharing this afternoon, you cannot go wrong. You will still find time and money to spend on yourself and to enjoy life. But too many of us are entering our golden years with no money at all to take care of our retirement. And people are living longer now, so listen to me, people. Not even DEATH is going to take you out of the situation you find yourself in if you get to golden age without a retirement plan. And let me just wrap with this. Even if you have, what happened to this something? even if you have a retirement account, that will still not be enough. So what do we teach in BeWi? Get yourself a retirement portfolio. Create a retirement portfolio with these 5 things. You're going to have your retirement plan. You're also going to have that insurance policy we spoke about earlier, one with equity on it. So wealth is being created as you go along. Then you're going to throw some stocks or equity in there like what David doing. You can also put real estate in there, whether it's a piece of land or you have a house that you can rent to get passive income. It's all about Airbnb now. It doesn't have to be. Even if you live somewhere and you want to add on a room that you can rent, that's going to be passive income in retirement. And then finally, at the end of the portfolio, you have your NIS. Your NIS was always meant to be supplemental. That will never be enough.
Right.
So when you meet people and I tell you, yeah, them all right, them have NIS, just wait them up for me, please. It is not on. So that's the portfolio we recommend, and we need to start really early. Guys, we have so much more to tell you. Oh, no, I forgot to come back.
I'm taking the last 3 comments. Wait, Garfield, just before you go, we had one more. Go ahead. Testing.
Test, right.
Good.
It was a quick question for IT because I noticed that we touch on a lot of things as it relates to money. But there is one thing, because you've been doing comedy for 17 years, you said. This year is your 17th year, and you're monetizing a skill. I want you to touch on how is it that you've maintained that motivation? Because a lot of young people are sometimes demotivated based on the monotony of creativity, right? That is one thing that creatives suffer from grossly. So I was just wondering, how is it that you motivate yourself over that period of time?
I'm going to ask you to think about it because I think he's going to address this question that came up. Yes?
Yes.
So, Garfield, if you can just go ahead and finish addressing this question, and we're going to, thanks.
Just a couple of quick notes to add on what Rose mentioned earlier as it relates to retirement planning. Of course, the government allows you to put up to a maximum of 20%, as she mentioned. With companies, what tends to happen is that if your company is going to be involved where you have structured retirement plans, then the company could pay up to 10% of your 20 and then you pay the other 10. So that's where there's that type of structured approach. Then there's the individual approach. If your company doesn't have that, that's what JN now has. So JN has that, wherein if you are unable, if you are not in a formal retirement plan, you can then come to JN, any other financial institution which offers same, to get your individual retirement account. So that I wanted to just add that part.
Thank you, Garfield. And I know Jillian had a comment related to that too. Go ahead.
Right. Just because I know we have a young audience, I wanted to explain something about retirement planning that I don't think a lot of people are aware of. I wrote a post on this the other day, and a lot of people responded and said, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And it's specifically related to the fact that, yes, you can invest, and you might think investing alone can take you into your retirement years. You invest for a certain period of time and you accumulate a certain amount of money, and you said you're going to retire now and you can use that to last you for the rest of your life. But how long are you going to live? You don't know, and you don't know when that money is going to run out. The beauty about having a pension plan and retirement savings is that they guarantee you an income until you die. So no matter how much longer you live, once you are saving in a pension fund and you start to benefit from the pension fund and you get your payments monthly, they'll pay you until you die. And a lot of people don't know the difference. So if you're investing, you don't know when the money is going to run out. But a pension plan will pay you no matter how long you're alive. So just want to ensure that the young audience is aware of how a pension plan works.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Jillian. Really appreciate it.
Yes,
oh
yes.
my God. Young lady, did you get the answer to your question? That's awesome. And then there was a question that was posed to you about motivation and staying motivated.
Just add one point on the pension, the tax benefit. That is there are so many things that we can say about it, but and we may have to have another forum, but the tax benefit, tax deductible, tax deferred, those are some terms that you normally hear when it comes to pension. It's very important that you understand. So your monies that are invested, say you put monies in a deposit account, what tends to happen? A quarter of that, the profit that you earn, is usually goes to the government. However, with the pension, you are afforded a tax benefit, so that 25% stay in the fund, right? At the point of you getting the payout, there may be a tax deferred approach, so the monies are reinvested, and at that point taxes then may come into play. But while it is accumulating, the profit doesn't come out and go anywhere, it stays in. What does that mean? More monies for you. 1 point.
Thank you. We definitely need to have another forum because I'm seeing more questions on faces and people want to ask more. But the thing is, we have run out of time. So I see another hand going up. Okay, go. Last comment, last one. Go ahead.
Okay. Mike. Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Just for one thing that I did not have as a young entrepreneur was the Jamaica Business Development Corporation, JBDC. So young entrepreneurs can now get advice on record keeping, financial management, marketing, etc. Yes. You don't have to have a business, just an idea. I want to come in and flesh it out, you can link us and come in and talk to us. And we can help you build your dream business, a JBDC.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
That's a very important addition. Critically important. I spoke last year at the
Expo.
expo and it's listen, I have learned and I'm sharing. But that question you ask about motivation is a very, very crucial question, especially in this season.
Yeah.
Because we talk about engagement, I mean staff engagement and disengagement. If motivation is missing, it's a problem. Irrespective of the knowledge that you have. You see, oh, Gillian, watch Gillian, look at Gillian. You see, oh, she get excited. Listen.
She's twitching in
her
seat.
It's when she come to the microphone, you know what I mean? You know she's coming with that clear excitement because there's an intersection between what she likes to do and what she knows. Her skill set and her knowledge. That intersection, very, very important. It's when Garfield got the microphone, I know that suit is a suit for a long time. We can walk to the microphone comfortably. And there's no discomfort with this walking. I'm saying all those things to say that I worked for 14 years as an accountant before I discovered I was a joker. I worked for Christopher Blackwell Group of Companies. It's a very important skill set because I use it in business, of course. But I am saying that to say that I had to decide and discover what was I more motivated to do. The repetitious task of producing financial accounts every month, doing the comparison with actuals and budget and the variance reports and going to the chief, you know what I mean? And going on stage and delivering a set of material and feel that laugh to come back. Because I love to laugh myself. So I watch movies, I watch comedy. So I am motivated by my gift, but what I love to do. And I discovered along the way that I prefer this business called comedy. So that's what keeps me motivated. And I went down, what I can tell you, I went down severely during this pandemic. Of course, because I was dealing with a situation I've never had to deal with before. I recognized that I cannot perform because there was no show. So I went through a period where I have to rediscover my own sense of motivation, self-motivation. And it was an easy thing to rediscover because I love to laugh. More so than I do accounting. I shouldn't mention that right here.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And guys, guess what? We've been long out of time, but the questions keep coming. But we have to wrap for today. And so to wrap, I am going to ask Mrs. Rose Miller if she could just join us for a moment. And if you could sum this up for us and tell us the 4 basic things that you always leave as a parting gift with any group that you're talking with about financial literacy. So this is your summary points now, your key takeaways from today.
Okay, number 1, today was just the tip of the iceberg.
Whoa.
I mean, we don't start yet. Tip. So I implore you, continue your financial education. Yeah. Every day, learn something new. And you're going to be way ahead of the game. You're going to be able to stay a mile off and see opportunities that other people think is foolishness. And that's because your financial antenna is way up. So that's the first thing. Take responsibility. It wasn't taught in school. Now you're out here and you know what to do. At least start educating yourself. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing, share what you learn. We're after ensuring that the whole Jamaica smart up. We're not being selfish about it. It will just make better sense for us as a nation. It will make sense for your families and the nation ultimately. Yep. And one reason why you mustn't get all smart and rich by yourself, because if you're the one with the money, your brothers and sisters going to come. But if everybody is smart up and have their own money, you're good, right? So take them along with you. So learn something new, increase your financial awareness, share what you learn, and of course the big one, don't just hear and learn. You must put into action. There is no point learning anything and not doing anything with it. No point. You're not going to move from where you are to financial freedom. You must take action. And back to our young people. Young people, you know, you have absolutely no reason to be ignorant. None whatsoever. Zero. And something else I'd like to leave with you as well. Believe it or not, and I hope you believe it, but even if you don't believe it, it's true. You have absolutely no reason to be poor. So I want to know, remember that. No reason to be ignorant and no reason to be poor.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Miller. Thank you so much for that. And IT, I want to ask you, what is one last piece of advice or comment or whatever you would love to share with our young people before we go?
Listen to what Rose Miller just said again. Watch the video again. You have the opportunity to rewind, take notes, and act upon them. That's the first thing I want to say to young people. And you have time. Youth is often wasted on youth. You have time on your hands, and I'm happy that she made the point about you have zero reason. But personally, you must search yourself, identify that gift. All of us have one. Different varying gifts. Identify that gift. Now, where is the intersection between your skill set and your gift? I mean, your passion, talk about passion, then the chances, the probability for you to succeed is even so much greater. Usain Bolt wanted to play cricket. He could play cricket. He might be able to play football. Let's talk about that a different time. But clearly, we saw what happened when he identified, along with his coach, the gift of running real quickly over 100 meters, which he didn't even discover until that famous race. Of course, you're familiar with it. Search. He searched. His coach searched till they find. Search and find that gift that really, really would help anybody, anywhere. All of us have a different one.
Thank you so
much. And most importantly,
yes,
if you aim at nothing, you'll never miss. If you aim at nothing, you'll never miss. So in aiming, remember your creator. Have to add that part. Cannot leave him.
Amen. Thank you so much. And guys, there we have it. This is our first session, maybe season 2, who knows, of Ask Me Anything About Money. And it was just such a pleasure to have this conversation with all of you, those of you in the room, those of you who joined us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And what I'm going to ask you to do, the persons in the room, stay just a second as we talk about gift. Just stay a second. For the persons that joined us online, it was such a pleasure to have you. Thank you for all the questions that you asked. I hope we were able to ask some of the give you some of the answers that you needed. And continue to follow us, like us, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram at JN Foundation. Check out the other resources that we do have there with lots of other tips. You heard more tips today. You heard free resources you can check out. And the last one I'll share with you, for persons who are members, you know, there's a free counseling service, especially for those of you who are entrepreneurs and you've really been hit, you're going through a tough time mentally. You can call 876-579-7804 to be able to access counseling provided free of cost through Family Life Ministries. It's a facility that has been made available to you through JN, so I just urge you to really access it. And so the JN Foundation has just been completely honored to be able to have this session with you today. So thank you.
And let me just say this quickly. When you ask for the information, be sure to ask about a business plan. Very important. I wish I knew about a business plan when I just started business. Now I know it. Oh my God. So when you access that service, ask them about it and let me tell you all about it, how to prepare, what's contained in it. It's critically important. Let me say it slowly. Ask about a bit, that's where JVDC comes in.
As well. So, guys, thank you so much. Have a lovely evening. Thank you for tuning in and stay tuned for details for our next episode when we do have it. Thank you.